Alright guys, so here we go. We got a 2014 Ford Fusion. This happens to be a hybrid version, but it should not matter. Hybrid and the standard engine, the suspension's the same on both sides. So today I've already taken the wheel up, got it jacked up. I'm going to kind of point out some of the things that we're going to need to work on, and then we'll get to work. Okay. So the first thing you're going to want to do is we're going to point out everything on here, and then I'll point out exactly what order we're going to take it out in. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look in here and you get this sensor. This is for the anti-lock brake sensor. It's just kind of popped in there with a rubber dinghy holding it in. And then down here it also has like a tie wrap holding it onto the actual strut. Over here, this is your brake line. And it's got one bolt on here and a nut on the back. We're going to take that off. This right here, this connects the strut to the stabilizer bar, and we'll get to that one. And then down here you'll see there's two bolts and nuts on here, and that's what actually holds the strut onto the whole assembly. So we'll get started. Oh, and I also point out this is the underneath the hood. You're going to have three bolts under here. You got one, two, and then actually under here, there's a third one under here, and we'll show you how to get that lifted up so you can get into there. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is pull the sensor cable out, get that out of the way. So you're going to reach in here. It's just kind of rubber thingy. It kind of holds onto the metal, and you push your thumbs on top and bottom, and it should slide off pretty easily. Now this part's a little bit harder. You want to be really careful because you don't want to break the sensor cable. So I'm using needle nose and a straight blade. So you kind of just grab it. You'll see it's there's enough room to get some needle nose in there, and you want to stick the screwdriver so you can kind of pry it, and you just want to gently pull it out. Sometimes you gotta pry them in there. Yeah, there you go. See, you can just see what that is. So it pops right back in there when we're all done. Get that out of the way. Alright, so I know this is kind of hard to see. Trying to get the camera in here was not easy either. So this is where the actual sensor connects into the whole assembly. There's a 6mm bolt on there holding it on. So basically you just loosen that bolt and the whole sensor comes out. And so since I can't really get in there to do it too well, I don't think, let's see. Yep, I got it. Okay. So again, you want to be careful with the sensor cable. You don't want to break it, strain it, rip it, tear it, anything like that. So again, sorry for the out of focus. If you want to see this, you can skip ahead about another 30 seconds or so, and then you can get it. And you should be able to just get it out with your hand, loosen it up. Get that bolt out. And the sensor just slides straight out. There's your sensor. So it only goes in one way, so don't worry about that. Alright, so you can see I got that whole sensor out. Just kind of tucking it back here a little bit just to kind of get it out of the way. Don't forget about it. Definitely don't want to forget about it. Alright, so next part we're going to take care of is the assembly that holds the brake line on. It's got a 10-inch bolt on it, or not 10-inch, sorry, 10mm bolt on it, and a 13mm nut. So I just use a wrench in the back, put this in the front. Just loosen this guy up. my hand, get it loosened up. Now, the nut on here, for whatever reason, doesn't come off very well. So I just leave it on because the struts that I got from Rock Auto, I got Monroe struts. They are give you an extra set of nuts to hold on to the sides. So we'll use that later. Alright, so now we're taking off the stabilizer bar bolt. This uses an 18 millimeter bolt. So it's the initial getting it off, getting it hard off, is you really got to crank on it. Sometimes you got to use some brachies or something in there, or WD-40 to kind of loosen it up. But this one I've already pre-loosened it just so we can get this going. So long bolt on this sucker. Get off my fingers now. Well, not really. And so here's one problem. When you take off that. Alright, so as I said, when you take that the socket off of this nut before it's all the way off, which for the most part you're going to do, the stabilizer bar is pushing up, which is pushing the bolt angled down, which means you can't get in there. So the way around that is you get your floor jack and you jack up the whole assembly just enough to get that stabilizer bar pulled down on the nut. See how it's kind of moving up a little bit? Make sure it's still on there. Yep. You can see this right here. See how it's pulling up a little? There we go. When it gets out straight, you loosen that sucker right up. Alright, so it might be hard to see with the light. Sorry about that. So this piece of metal right here comes right off. This is where the sensor was on. Put that off to the side because you're going to need it. And you can see here, you can just take the stabilizer bar, push it right through. And I kind of wiggle it to get it to go through. Sometimes it agrees, sometimes it doesn't. And you can see there's a cable right back there. It's holding it, or stopping me from going back any further. So let me see how we kind of figure that out. Alright, so there's this cable back here, and that's what's holding it back. So you kind of got to lift it up, push it back, that stabilizer bar all the way, and just kind of let it hang off to the side there. Okay guys, and so I'm just going to lower the jack down, but you want to lower it down so that the whole assembly is just kind of resting on it, but the jack is not holding it up because you don't want to push any up strain on it. So just kind of give you a little. There we go. Kind of a little fast, but you know, as long as it gets down to where it needs to get, that's all it really matters. Alright guys, so unfortunately I was not able to do this with a regular socket. I have to get my impact. Just so you know, it's a 24 millimeter on this side, and then I'm using my adjustable wrench on this side. So just kind of hold it, put the sucker on here, and just, sorry for the noise. There we go. Of course it didn't come off that easy initially. I had to break it a little bit, so just so you know. There's two of them on here. A little tougher, but not too bad. Highly recommend getting a good impact wrench. This sucker is a Ryobi 1 Plus. Works great for me. Alright, so whether this is the right way or not, don't know, but it works for me. Seems to be good. So I basically just take a hammer, you get that sucker out, comes out. And the bottom one, now you don't want to go all the way out on this one. You want to just kind of get it to the very end. Can't really see it, but just kind of hammer it. You can see how the whole assembly here. Zoom out a little bit for you. It's kind of coming loose. See how it's loose now. Remember, be gentle. You don't want to pop it off because it'll shoot right out the other end. You want it in there a little bit, just to kind of hold on to it. Okay. Alright guys, so now we're back up on the hood. So in here you're going to notice there's some metal clips on here, because if you notice this I guess weather protector is on here to make sure, I guess, keep aerodynamic water from coming out. Don't really know, I'm sure somebody got a patent on that. So the way you do it is you take some needle nose and you just kind of insert it into the front part. And as soon as you do that, it's going to come right out. Make sure you put them someplace that you're not going to lose them, as you will need to put them back in. And I recommend taking them all off, just so you're not taking a chance of ripping anything. See, sometimes they don't like to come off easy. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting the right angle. And you'll notice some cables going up inside of them. So we gotta be careful of that. You don't want to rip anything, pull anything out. So this side, did the other side earlier, not a big deal. This side's a little bit different because this cable right here just goes right through. It doesn't have a slit where you can slide it through like the other side, but you can kind of lift it up. You can see that bolt in there. So it is going to be a little challenge to get this in here without ripping anything, but you can kind of pull this out. Give it a little bit more slack. I need to get it up a couple inches so you can get a ratchet in there. So we'll do that next. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this a little better. Okay, so this is a 10 millimeter. Again, you don't want to take these all the way off, but you want to try to break them loose. And this one, just because of the angle underneath there, you got to just kind of get it loose. Oops. Unfortunately, my ratchet sometimes switches on me. So I personally take this last one out, or this hidden one out first, because the hardest one, I want to just get it all at one time. And these bolts are kind of long. And again. I think far enough I can do it with my finger maybe. Yep. Believe me, it's a lot more pain putting a new one in because of this small space in here, but you'll get, see, it's a pretty good size bolt. And you put that off to the side. And you take the other two and start to do those this way. Okay, so you can kind of hear it getting loose in there, so you gotta be careful. This is why you put that jack underneath the whole assembly, because when you get this out, it's all going to fall out. Now if you got a second person helping you, maybe it's not as big a deal. If you're doing it by yourself like me, it's a little bit of an issue. Alright, so it may fall out a little bit when you drop that. There we go. Kind of see it in there, it's get a little loose. Alright, so now we're back down below. Basically, the only thing that's really holding this together is the one bolt and the jack holding it up. So we're going to pop out the bolt, kind of let this rest on the jack, and then the hardest part is kind of wiggling it out. Hopefully we'll be lucky today and it'll come out pretty easy, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so we're going to pop this out. I would advise holding this. There, see how it just kind of flops down. Make sure your brake line's not pinched or anything, nothing's hitting it, and you'll notice it just kind of hanging out there. So now you want to just kind of lift it out. This is where it is much easier with two people, believe me. Go back because you don't want to hit that gas line, brake line. So, there's the old strut. Just looking at mine, I don't see a cracked spring, but the shock absorber inside of it is definitely shot. So there we go. Now we got the emptied out car. Alright, so now I got the new strut. If you'll notice, it's not round. There's a kind of like a flat side on there. You want to make sure that's the part facing the engine. It should line up pretty good, because you'll notice the connectors that connect down to the whole rest assembly right there. So again, much easier to do with two people, but I got one person and that's all I can do. So the easiest thing is just kind of get it lined up in there. It's going to be kind of hard to show you with the camera where it's at. I'm going to have to kind of zoom out and lift it up a little bit so you can kind of see, because basically you want to get it in there and you want to line it up, and you want to get the screw holes lined up with the top, because basically you want to kind of hang it from the top and then get it into place. So we'll zoom out for that. Alright, I got my son in here to help me, because
I know what I'm doing.
alright, so lifting it up, we got two in. He's going to get that third one in a second. Don't grab it like that.
That's weird.
Does that feel like it's going in?
Where's the...
It should be. And you don't want to take these all the way up. You just want to kind of get them tight, because you might have to move them around a little bit to get the bottom part lined up.